Everybody, how's it going? I am James Thomas. You are at the first episode of James's Games. Now,
Like the first official
episode. Those of you who follow the Mile High Podcast and watch our blogs, the James's Game is something that we came up near the end of our, I guess it would be winter, spring season, and it's something that people like. So we're going to. We've decided to branch it out on its own thing. So this is a weed-friendly episode. So you can smoke and you can talk about it. Not everything on Truckee Pacific you can, but on this you can. I am your host, James. That is why it is so rightfully named James's Game. With me, I have my co-host from the Mile High Podcast, Dave. Dave, how's it going, man?
What's going on, man? It's kind of weird. This show's called James's Games, and your name is James?
I know.
What is the coincidence of that?
That's why I got the show, is because
that's the whole reason.
We had the title, and we said, hey, well, it should go to that guy. With us as well is another one of my co-hosts, but she and DK are really kind of the leaders, and I'm just riding along for the ride. For Reality Bites, we have a name for the show where we review and we talk about reality shows. Mel, you are here, and do a quick promotion because people have seen the Big Brother thing, but something's happening tomorrow. Tell us what you're about to do.
We are going to do a Love Island recap. So that is a very, I committed to this before I knew how many days a week it does. It's my first season. I'm 4 episodes in, but I'm hooked. So Danielle's already into it. We're going to do this. We're going to do a whole recap every week. So check us out Saturdays. I don't know what time yet. We'll post it online. Check us on Facebook. We'll share it there.
That works, and thank you for being here. And, of course, with us, as always, he hosts his own show. I don't have anything to do with it, but he's a frequent guest on our show. We are absolutely pleased to have him, my good friend, Santori. Santori, what's up, man?
What's happening, James? Not much.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for inviting me once again. Appreciate it. Oh, lost your battery.
Uh-oh. James, can't hear you, buddy. Oh, no. That was going to be Dave's Games, and I'm so unprepared.
I found the mute button. I leaned on it. I good call. So, Dave, I didn't let promote yet. I'll let you promote in the middle of the show. I know you always have things to promote, but Santori, numerous things. Santori, you do have something to promote because something specifically. Tell us about your show, and more than that, tell us what's happening this Wednesday.
All right. So, yes, we went into our second week on Wednesday, and it turned out to be a really good show. I had a live people. I had doing Facebook Live and had people making on comments, so I was asking them to go ahead and vote on the theme song. So I play guitar, and they picked out a riff. People voted on it, so I have a theme song now. And my old show I used to do on Santori Unplugged podcast, I used to have a show called Name That Tune, and I brought that with my new show. I love that game, and I'm really good, but I wasn't good this week. So one of the listeners beat me. And the thing is if you do beat me in my own game, you get to choose a dare or a challenge for me to do, which would not get me arrested and not get me in a mental institution or in trouble or anything like that. But fun. So he won and he challenged me. Dustin is the winner. And he challenged me to eat a ghost pepper and a Carolina Reaper. So I accepted his challenge, and I accepted last night on Facebook Live. I don't know if I caught the video or not, but I accepted the challenge. And this Wednesday, I will be eating some peppers and burning my face off.
As a producer for your show, I would say do half your show before you do that, because I think the second half you're going to have a lot of not being able to talk. So do half your show before you do that.
Well, I'm going to do the ghost pepper first, and then save the hot guy later. And I have idea of, instead of verbally telling you, expressing you the pain that I'm feeling, I'm going to have my guitar there with me. So I'm going to do that with the guitar.
Nice.
So instead of me screaming, I'll just have the guitar do it, just to make it a little interesting.
Musical agony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you love live music, Santori is the show to have because he always has live music. And good old Santori, we asked him to be on a show, and he shows up with a kitchen chair in the middle of a parking lot. But you know what? It gets what we need to get done. All right, guys, let me explain the game. Let me explain to you guys kind of what's going on tonight. We went with our most popular James's game. People talked about it a lot. It was the Disney bracket game. Now, we're not doing Disney again, but we are doing a bracket. Brackets are fun. If we had an even number of people, as far as contestants, I was going to be the tiebreaker. I'm not the tiebreaker. You guys will clearly pick one of the two. But I also completed this bracket already. I'm not going to let your guys' opinion change mine in any way, but I'm interested to see on how much of what I said you guys went along with, and we'll do a little bit of comparison on that. We're going to play this a lot like Match Game. You guys remember the old Match Game where I just literally ask you guys a question on the bracket, then I'm going to come back to maybe all of you, depending on how I feel about it, and ask you another specific question. So it's a game. It's communication's not quite like we do on our normal Mile High podcast show. I'm going to control most of it. So, who wants to know what the subject is?
Oh, I do.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Sitcoms.
Sitcoms. Perfect.
Yes. We are going to do the best sitcoms of the 1980s. Now, there are a shit ton of sitcoms, guys. I took the list of the top 50. I picked some really good ringers. I picked some ones that may surprise people, but we're starting with a list of 32. So we're going to narrow it down to our top 16 is where we're going to first with this. So with that said, I'm going to do this in alphabetical order, which will be DMS. We will cycle around like we have before. I'm going to give you an option. You tell me which one you're going to go with. People know how brackets work. So first bracket, 1980s, and this is a personal opinion. You tell this is what you think the sitcom deserves to win. It doesn't have to be the popular opinion. It's your personal opinion. So the first two, and these are all by random draw, okay? The first two sitcoms of the 1980s go, Dave, you have to choose between Saved by the Bell or Who's the Boss?
Saved by the Bell. There's not even a question.
Saved by the Bell.
Personal opinion, Saved by the Bell. Who's the Boss? Better show. I just like Saved by the Bell better.
Saved by the Bell makes it okay. Dave's got one. Mel, you're next. What do you say? Saved by the Bell. Who's the boss?
I'm gonna go with Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell. So Santori, you don't even get to vote. So I'm gonna ask you, why did Who's the Boss lose? You don't get to vote. I don't care what you think, but you tell me, why did Who's the Boss lose?
Because of Tony Danza.
Most things happen. He lost because of Tony Danza. So Saved by the Bell gets knocked out in the first round.
What do you think about the Who's the Boss reboot coming out with Tony Danza and Alyssa Milano reprising their roles?
That could definitely be interesting. I like the reboot of 90210, so that one wouldn't work. So Saved by the Bell moves on. Mel, you get to be the first vote on a tough one. With it being random, I wasn't expecting like big ones to go up against each other, but here it is: The Cosby Show versus Roseanne.
Oh man, seriously?
Yeah.
A rapist versus a racist.
Yeah, I know. First of all, I can't believe I'm having to vote for either. But that's okay. We're judging the show, not the
man, not the people.
So, yeah. Oh, that's tough. I'm gonna give it to Cosby because they were both groundbreaking for different reasons in the type of families they represented, but Cosby did it first in comparison to Roseanne. But that's all it is. I think they're both very equal footing.
There you go. Santori, what do you think? You get a vote in this one. Cosby Show, Roseanne. Who gets it? Who's the better
Cosby.
show? Cosby. Yeah. Dave, would you have made that a trifecta?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the Cosby Show and Roseanne. So to put this out there, like I said, I did this bracket before you guys did, just to see what I came up with at the end. And I also reluctantly put the Cosby Show on there because you kind of have to. The Cosby Show is a definitive show. Like
Yeah.
It literally is the definitive show of the 80s.
Right.
They
There's
created
no way
like
around it.
2 spin-offs and countless copies.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. So Santori, you get to start off with one that I'll be interested to see how this plays out. I think I have a guess, but we'll see. You got Family Ties versus live action Punky Brewster.
I had no idea that was going to happen. I do apologize. I'm as shocked and surprised as everyone else is. But that was pretty cool. America. All right.
Punky Brewster versus what did I say? Family Ties.
Ooh. I'm going to have to go with Family Ties.
Family Ties takes it over Punky Brewster for Santori. Dave, that means it goes to you. Family Ties or Punky Brewster?
Family Ties, man. Alex B. Keaton beats Punky Brewster anytime.
There
Yeah.
you go. And Mel, I know you love Punky Brewster.
I love the show. No, here's the thing. I would never vote for that show though, and you know why. I've told you about that. I met Punky Brewster in real life, and she was so rude to me. I was like 8. I mean, so was she. But she was such a bitch. Like she didn't say hello. Even she's like meh. And we were at like a Just Say No convention, and she was supposed to like meet our class or something. My parents were playing in the band for the stupid convention, and she walked up. She had like a Teddy Ruxpin and a fur coat. We live in Oakland. What the fuck do you need a fur coat for? I'm sorry. You really rubbed me the wrong way. Like it stuck out. It stuck out. And then moments later, a newscaster asked me what I thought, and I stuttered through it because I had gotten shunned by Punky Brewster, and I was in shell shock. So no, Family Ties wins.
There you go. That was a personal win. That was a win
Yes.
because of history, because of beef. Dave, we're back to you. Dave, not another one that I don't think is going to be that easy. Laverne and Shirley versus Taxi.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Well, I will go with Taxi because I've watched a bunch of Taxi and I've hardly watched any Laverne and Shirley. So just because I haven't watched a lot of Laverne and Shirley, I'll go Taxi. Great cast in Taxi though. I mean, like everywhere, Christopher Lloyd, Andy Kaufman,
Yeah.
Tony Danza.
Yeah.
Tony Danza well represented on your game today.
Yeah, well, that Tony Danza decided to make himself well represented. Dan DeVito's in it, so I mean, you've got Judd Hurst, Judd Reinhold.
Yeah, great
Judd
cast.
Hurst.
Just by the cast alone, but
Yeah, it's a good killer cast. Mel, what do you think? Taxi or Laverne and Shirley?
I think Taxi wins. Yeah. It was just they're great. I love Penny Marshall and I love Laverne and Shirley, but Taxi just was all encompassing. It wasn't just female humor, and I think maybe Laverne and Shirley might have fell on that more, but there was good female representation in Taxi too. So
True. Santori, you don't get a vote, so what I'm going to make you do is something weird. Tell me why these two were wrong and why Laverne and Shirley beats Taxi.
Well, I was actually going to go with Taxi, but yeah, Laverne and Shirley. I was really going to go with Taxi. I thought you were going to give me another Tony Danza question.
No, you told me Tony Danza was the last reason. Now you got to tell me why Laverne and Shirley better than Taxi.
Maybe because of Lenny and Squiggy. They were funny. But other than that, not really. No.
Laverne and Shirley were okay until they moved to California. I didn't care.
yeah, I kind of jumped the shark.
Yeah, and they left Milwaukee. Yeah, forget it.
So
break in here. The chat also agrees with us. Taxi all the way.
Yeah, it's hard to compete with Taxi. I'm glad you're watching the chat because I am not watching the chat. So good job, Dave. Feel free to break in with whatever the chat says more often. All right, you gotta give me a break, Nell Carter, against the Wonder Years.
The Wonder Years.
The Wonder Years? Okay.
Yeah.
No love for Nell Carter here.
No, it's not that. To be fair, I was younger when it came on, so I don't remember details of episodes. I remember fondly watching it, but I don't remember specifics. So that may be part of it. But the Wonder Years, like later on, my sister got into that show, like way later. I was like, yeah, I'll watch reruns of that. So I think it wins it for me.
Santori, Give Me a Break or The Wonder Years?
I want the Wonder Years, but I didn't like how you categorize these two together. I would have put Alice with Give Me a Break because it was kind of tough. Because I did like
It was random.
It's all random, man.
I know it's random. I'm just saying though, but Wonder Years.
Yeah.
But I do like Give Me a Break. But you know,
Give Me a Break.
Over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember liking it.
Yeah, good show. And who was the young boy? He went on to be an ad. Who grew up from Give Me a Break?
Fred.
Look it up.
Yeah, look up.
Fred.
No, that's
Fred
the Wonder. Fred Savage is the Wonder Years. No, who was the kid on Give Me a Break?
The kid on Give Me a Break?
Yeah,
Joey Lawrence.
Joey Lawrence. That's right.
Yes.
Whoa, whoa.
Did I get pointed?
You get a point. Point for
There better be
Gryffindor.
Blossom on this list, James. There better be Blossom on this list.
Yeah. And it can't be up against something that,
Blossom or Different Strokes.
It is an
Blossom or
80s
Big
list.
Baker?
different show.
Blossom is a 90s show. Blossom will not be on this list.
Saved by the Bell was a 90s show.
Saved by the
No,
Bell
started
came
in
out.
the 80s.
Yep, it
Really?
came out in 1980.
Did you ever watch the Saved by the Bell when they're in middle school?
Yeah, Miss Bliss.
Yeah.
Saved by- yeah.
Yeah.
With what's her name? Haley Mills.
Haley
Was there
Mills,
too.
yeah.
Yeah. So the only ones who made it over were Screech and
Zach.
Lisa,
Zach.
and Zach. Screech, Lisa, and Zach continued through it. Santori, you get some old school throwbacks. You get to decide. Well, you get one old school throwback.
They're all old school.
Mama's Family versus Head of the Class.
Oh my God.
That's easy.
I'm gonna go ahead of class.
Head of the Class is a fun show. I actually prefer it when they get away from WKRP and Cincinnati guy and they move to the dad from Boondock Saints. I know
It's an interesting transition.
It worked though for some reason.
right. For some reason, it transitions into that. But yeah, Dave. So we're sitting here. What are you gonna do? You gonna do Mama's Family or Head of the Class?
I'm going to go Head of the Class because I remember that show. I don't remember Mama's Family.
Okay.
I'm trying to look it up right now to see if it will ring any bells.
Mel will tell
That's
you.
not Carol Burnett, isn't it? It is.
Yes.
Oh, it's Vicki Lawrence. Oh, fuck
it's
that.
Vicki
No,
Lawrence.
yeah, Vicki
Oh,
Lawrence.
that's right.
You go
yeah.
Mama's Family. Sorry, I changed my
Thank
vote.
you. Oh, thank you.
Change his vote.
Yeah, Valley Harper,
Yeah.
Carol Burnett spinoff, or Carol Burnett mentee, I guess you would say. Yeah, I'll go there.
Okay, so we finally have a split vote. Mel, you get to be the breaker on it. I think I know where you're going to go with it. What's your call?
Absolutely. Mama's Family.
Mama's Family.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was great humor. Great show.
Thank you, Google.
Valerie Harper is
reputation.
very excited that you had a Google there because she's still in the running.
Oh.
So we are moving on to, it's back to Dave, right? Yeah, it's back to Dave. Dave.
There. Oh, I'm back. I got frozen for a second.
Oh, no. Well, that's tough because it's your turn. You get,
Go.
you get,
I was gonna-
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Dave, you got to represent early Fox. Two shows from early Fox station. You got to tell me which is better. Was Married with Children better or was Tracy Ullman show better?
Ooh, that's a really good one. I'll go Tracy Ullman because of the impact that the pop culture impact that ended up having with being home to Simpsons and amongst other things. I think it was more influential of a show. And that's what I'll go with.
That's a fair argument, Mel. What do you think? Married with Children or Tracy Ullman?
I don't know. It is tough, but I honestly thought Tracy Ullman was just I thought that was HBO or Showtime. I didn't even know they were on.
She had like 3 seasons on Fox, but
I never
most
saw
of her
it,
other
yeah.
shows, were on.
I don't think I saw it then. I mean, I remember the old Simpson cartoon shorts, but I must have. I have to give it to Married with Children because I remember watching that one.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You can't
Santori,
go wrong.
another break. You know what? The first few rounds, we didn't have any kind of breaks. You guys were all agreeing, but now it's kind of tough. Who's moving forward for you? Is it Tracy Ullman or is it Married with Children?
I believe it's going to be Married with Children.
Married with Children, definitely.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
It built.
It was tough. I mean, I really thought about it, but favorite children.
So I'm going to break in real quick, James. My aunt, who is closely related to Patron in Nevada, she said that she met Bud Bundy once and gave him a bottle of Patron. And so
Nice.
she will go with Married with Children.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Pete, that's really cool. You know, was it at Bud Bundy, like the height of Bud Bundy popularity, or was it like a week ago?
Probably not. It was probably like 2015 Bud Bundy.
Right.
He's like on the street, like, man, I used to be
Right.
Bud Bundy.
Get
Can I
some
please get
change."
some alcohol?
Right. He's standing down there with like Las Vegas Elmo. He's like, they're like, who are you? He's like, I'm Bud Bundy. They're like, you don't look like him. He's like, no, I actually played Bud Bundy. So, that's funny. All right, another big juggernauts are going up, and this is yours, Mel. You got Cheers going against Happy Days.
That's a killer choice. See, here's the thing. Cheers is way more my style. But I feel like as far as bigger, are we going by impact or just better show?
Sure, it's just what you
want.
feel. Yeah, which one you get to move it on to the next round. Put the one that you feel deserves to keep going.
I'm going to give it to Cheers because two other people could prove me wrong.
There you go. Santori, that means it goes over to you. Which one are you going to go with?
I'm gonna go with Cheers.
Cheers has a
Cheers.
pretty easy win. Dave, would you have changed that? Would Happy Days have made it on your list?
No, because I think by the 80s, Happy Days had already run its course. This is after the jumping of the shark, the literal jumping of the shark. And so
First.
Happy Days, not nearly as good as Cheers. Especially the prime was in the 80s for Cheers.
There you go. Yeah, well.
I feel like Cheers. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I feel like Cheers had a longer run. Like they definitely had some plot, some seasons where like plots were just, it was weird, you know, but definitely I think they had a longer solid run, a really good story in addition to great humor and an amazing cast.
Were you guys more a Kirstie Alley Cheers, or I can't remember the lady before, but it was Sam and Diane.
Keaton.
No, it wasn't Diane Keaton.
It wasn't Diane Keaton.
It wasn't?
No.
Oh no, you're right. It was Shelley Long.
Shelley Long. There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that Sam and Diane's story, I think the Sam and Diane story was better when they told the story about Sam and Diane. I think as far as involving the whole cast, that it did way better with Kirstie Alley's character.
Yeah, because that's when you brought on like Woody Harrelson, right?
Yeah. Well, because Coach has died. And so, yeah. And he was a great replay. He was a great not coach. That was the good thing about Woody Harrelson.
He was really funny. Really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers is a strong one. Santori, you get to make this decision. You get to decide between Benson and Charles in Charge.
Wow. I'm gonna go with Benson.
Hey, Benson was a good show. I really enjoyed Benson. I see nothing wrong with it. For me, it was a tough choice. For some people, it won't be. I think they grew up with Charles in Charge, but Benson is a spinoff of one of my favorite shows ever, Soap. And so
love Soap.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. So Benson, it was a tough choice for me as well. I'll tell you what I choose after I let these two go. Dave, that means you. Which one are we going to do, Charles in Charge or Benson?
I'm going to go Charles in Charge because I remember coming home from school and watching Charles in Charge.
I knew that's
pretty much it.
Yeah, Channel 2. We grew up in the same television bracket, and so the sitcoms or the syndication, we saw Charles in Charge was used on that. Mel, you get a big break. Is it Benson or is it Charles in Charge?
I'm gonna go with Benson. Yeah. Benson.
Thank you.
See, okay, now that's exciting. Because I got to be honest, I actually ended up moving on Charles in Charge too, and I think it's not because it was a better show, but I think it's for the exact same association I had as David did. Is that when we came home, it just played like right after we got out of school, so there was a connection to it. All right, so that means Dave, and this is a great one. Here's another challenge. We have Newhart And this is like Newhart. He is a psychiatrist. Newhart. This isn't
in New York or Chicago or wherever.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah.
Connecticut.
Okay.
No. Connecticut is when he owns the
That's
inn.
the
The bed and
hotel, the
breakfast.
bed and breakfast.
Yeah, this is the
This is the other.
That's
This is
the
like one of
Newhart
the.
show.
Yeah.
This is Newhart.
There's so many Newhart shows.
Yeah, this is when he's a psychiatrist. So it's Newhart
Okay.
versus Soap.
No,
Oh.
it's Soap all the way. Because one, I don't even know that. I know of that Newhart version, but I grew up with the the Daryl and Daryl Newhart.
Yeah, yeah,
And Soap is one of my favorite shows from the 80s of all time. So
Yeah.
I'm going with that.
yeah. Good call, Mel.
Yeah, I'm going with Soap.
Santori, would you have picked Newhart over Soap?
No. So
Soap is a great show. For those of you who do not watch, who have never heard of Soap, have never seen it, take the time to watch it. It's got an amazing cast. Really, you get
Benson.
Benson's
Oh,
on
sorry,
there.
go ahead.
You get Mona from Who's the Boss is on there. You get Billy Crystal in what people don't give enough respect to as a gay character that was not played for laughs in the early 80s. He was funny, but he wasn't played for laughs. The guy who went on to do these are all Empty Nest. Yeah, he played Bert in the show. Soap is a great show. If you take nothing else from this episode of James's Game, take that
Watch
you
Soap.
should be watching Soap. It's hilarious. It's the story of two sisters.
And one thing I loved about it was in the 80s, like they're taking risks. Not only
Right.
were they introducing a gay character and not making him the flamboyant gay character that they had in the 80s, but they were also introducing aliens at
Right.
one point. I mean, they took a bunch of risks, and I think shows like Community, Good Place, they're direct descendants of shows like Soap.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
Agreed.
All
And
right.
it was also a little bit things. I mean, it sounds crazy, but like the way the fake reality shows are kind of done now, like Office Space. They're not fake reality. I don't know what the type of filming is called, but that type of stuff. I think it's the parody of serious shows. Like it was a parody of a soap opera almost, the
Right.
way it was presented. So
And I love the fact that they introduced every episode. And they'd be
Yeah.
what happened
Yes.
last week? Like little recaps. I love that.
Yeah.
yes.
No, great. It's a great show. It's a great show. Another two shows go. Mel, you got to decide. We have MASH versus Growing Pains.
Ooh. Yeah.
Well, MASH.
Okay.
It took me that long to remember what Growing Pains was. So MASH.
There you go. Santori, what are you going to go with? You going to go with MASH? You're going to go with Growing Pains?
MASH.
MASH is a hard one to argue against. Dave?
I'll go Bash. It's just a better show.
Yeah, it's just a hands down better show. I enjoy Growing Pains, but just out of pure reverence to how good MASH was as a show, it gets to move on in my mind.
I also think that since Kirk Cameron turned out to be such a fucking weirdo, that it kind of denigrated the Growing Pains in my mind. Like I remember loving it, but now I don't look at it the same way with the same amount of fondness.
Right. Yeah, it's not quite the same thing. Santori, you get to decide between the Peter Scolari vehicle, which shot him into superstardom, Bosom Buddies, or Golden Girls.
Oh, wow. Bosom Buddies.
Because of Peter Scolari.
Oh, absolutely. Not because of Tom Hanks.
Because
Absolutely.
Tom who? Yeah,
exactly.
Never heard of the guy.
Yeah, never heard of him.
Right.
But
No,
Peter, yeah, all day. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
right. It was his vehicle to take on. Dave.
You're talking about Mr. Reader Wilson, right?
Yes. Dave, who gets it? Golden Girls or Bosom Buddies?
The Golden Girls, man. Of course. This is the test that I'm holding it. Would you ever just on a rainy Sunday afternoon, would you rather binge a whole day's worth of Golden Girls or a whole day's worth of Bosom Buddies? I don't know anybody in this world that would say like, man, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch me like 4 hours of Bosom Buddies.
Anybody who says that hasn't watched 4 hours of Bosom Buddies. It's really funny. Horribly sexist. There's a lot of problems nowadays with Bosom Buddies in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
Golden Girls for sure. It's the more bingeable. It's the more It might not be the better show, but it's definitely the more bingeable, more fun show.
Mel, do I even have to ask?
Oh, yes, you do, so I can talk about it.
Mel, which one would you watch?
Forewarning, instead of smoking tonight, I am trying to finish a bottle of wine my mom left at my house, so I have a lot to say about the Golden Girls, but I'll keep it as brief as possible. They were such pioneers in so many topics of their time. There's no competition compared to Bosom Buddies, which was making fun of issues,
Right.
gender-related in particular. It was making fun of these stereotypes. Golden Girls has its problems in retrospect, but it's far and few between. Like, I know I think they removed an episode for a while or something, but they had episodes where they welcomed an immigrant into their home and tried to get him like a permanent citizenship status. Like, they had all kinds of things. Blanche's brother got married to his husband in her backyard in like 1988. These were big things. So groundbreaking.
I knew she was going to go with Golden Girls. Yeah, I know. Golden Girls is a serious show. Mike, you look like you're doing a film for a mob. You're like sitting outside waiting for a hit or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exactly what's happening. So, Dave, this one goes to you. You get to decide between Perfect Strangers and Three's Company.
I will say, because I have zero personal experience with either of these two shows, I will go with Three's Company because I was a big fan of John Ritter.
Fair. It's a fair argument. Mel, which one? Perfect Strangers, Three's Company?
Three's Company. I think it's like Dave said almost. I would rewatch those today. I think you can only hear Hello, Cousin Larry so many times.
Oh, Cousin Larry. Santori, would you have given it to Perfect Strangers, or is Three's Company the right call?
Three's Company is what I call.
Yeah.
Ooh, I wonder if watching it now, if it would be like I've tried to watch certain shows now, and I'm like, oh, I really can't watch that anymore. Just things have changed. So
Yeah,
it's about immigrations. And
there's definitely it's definitely another problematic show probably nowadays. Speaking of problems, Mel, you have to decide between The Simpsons or The Jeffersons. Which one is moving on up on this list?
The Simpsons. They just had a longer run. That's a really hard one. I didn't give it to Tracy Ullman, so I got to give it to something that was of her creation because she was definitely a pioneer. But yeah, but the Jeffersons are great.
The Jeffersons are great. Santori, Sherman Hemsley, is he moving on up, or is Homer Simpson?
Homer.
Dave, was there an argument in there for you?
There's no argument. No.
Yeah. Jefferson's a great show. Yeah, a lot of other people on this list, it would have moved farther down, but it just got set up against The Simpsons, and that's really tough. Santori, you have got Night Court versus Mr. Belvedere.
I'm going Night Court.
There you go. Night Court's a good show. Dave, what do you say?
Yeah, Night Court.
Nancy, Mel.
Old habits die hard, man.
Yeah, right. Mr. Belvedere, I remember the butler. That's not the same one with the girl who was the robot, though, right?
No, that's Small Wonder.
I'm not sure if that even matters. Yeah, no, Night Court.
Yeah.
Bull. I remember Bull specifically.
Right. And then finally, this show, who started that off with? Santori, you went first? Yeah. So, Dave, we're back to you. You get to go between Family Matters.
Skip Santori.
Did I skip you, Santori?
I think you did.
No, because
I answered the last question.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, it started with Mel.
Night Court.
No.
Yeah.
No, I didn't answer Night Court first. I think I was
No,
last.
I answered Night Court. That was me.
Yeah. Santori
I
did.
just answered
I'm
Night
sorry.
Court.
I don't mean to get you too confused.
Stop messing me up, Dave.
That's some
All right.
really good weed back here.
All right, Dave, you get to finish off the main 32. Dave, you got Family Matters versus My Two Dads.
Family Matters.
Mel?
No question.
Okay. So I would say My Two Dads because of two things. Number one, Stacey Keenan had very long hair. Like, I had her hair. Her hair was my inspiration for a long time. But I think Yeah, no, Family Matters had more substance. And Urkel was like, he defined the generation or the decade in a lot of ways for a lot of, not like, entirely encapsulated the decade, but he definitely influenced it a lot. So, yeah, gotta give it to Family Matters.
All right. And since we're running on time, I'm not going to ask you, Santori, a question because you don't get to go unless you were going to give it to my two dads. Were you going to give it to my two dads?
No.
No, I didn't think you were. All right. So let me read off the difference between what we have. I'm going to go back up the list. We got Family Matters. I had Family Matters. Night Court. I had Night Court. Simpsons. Same thing. Three's Company. I think the only thing you guys did different than me is Benson moved on instead of Charles in Charge, which I moved on. And Mama's Family, Wonder Years, Taxi, Family Ties. Yeah, you guys did that whole thing. That was good. We got the first round down. But, this is a premiere episode. And a premiere episode, you can't just compete the best sitcoms of the 80s. I mean, realistically, you should probably compete the best sitcoms of the 90s as well and then put them against each other and decide which the best sitcoms of all times are. So we're going to run it a little quicker than we did the first round. I'm going to ask you questions, but we got a list of the 90s. All right, so it's on Mel. These are the best sitcoms of the 90s, moving it down to a smaller list. First, we got King of the Hill versus Living Single.
Living Single.
Living Single gets the vote. Santori, King of the Hill, Living Single.
King of the Hill.
King of the Hill moves on. Dave, King of the Hill,
King of the
Living
Hill.
King of the Hill wins that round. We'll talk all about it in the next round. You guys asked for it, so you guys get it. Santori, you get the first vote. You got Blossom versus Sister Sister. You got your Joey Lawrence in there.
I'm going to say Blossom.
You're going to give it to Blossom. Dave?
Blossom. Whoa.
Mel?
Blossom.
Whoa, Sister Sister is out. Sister Sister is a good show. It was to me, that was a tough one. Dave, you got to start this one off. We have got Martin versus another single name show, Frasier.
Frasier.
All right, Mel.
Martin.
Oh, that's it. We have a tiebreaker. Santori. Who moves on? Is it Dr. Frasier Crane or is it Martin Lawrence?
Just because Cheers was such a good show and it was such a good sequel to that show and it went smoothly. Frasier.
Frasier
I do
wins
love
it.
Martin.
Martin is a good show, but Gina is out of here. We're moving on. That it means that the question goes to Mel. Mel, you've got Wings versus Ellen.
Wings versus what?
Ellen sitcom.
Oh, ooh. Ellen, for obvious reasons.
There you go. Santori, Wing, Tony Shalhoub, or from
I'm
Wings.
gonna have to say Ellen.
There you go. Dave, are you going to defend Wings? Should Wings have made it any farther?
No, Wings
No.
wasn't that great.
Yeah. But it had Tony Shalhoub, so that's not a bad thing.
No, but it wasn't Monk Tony Shalhoub. It was just Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah, it was just Tony Shalhoub. That's true. Santori, you got one of my favorite early Fox shows. You got Herman's Head versus another one of my favorite Fox shows, that 70s show.
Ooh, that 70s show.
For what we do, that makes a lot of sense, Dave. Herman's Head or the 70s show?
70 show.
70s show.
Really funny. Really funny.
Yeah, great show. Mel, would you have argued Herman's Head over the 70s show?
I'm still not even sure what Herman's Head was, so no.
It's Inside Out. It's a
Inside
sitcom
Out.
Inside Out in sitcom form.
Who is
And not nearly as good.
move on.
Yeah.
I will look it up sometime.
Yeah.
No, it's not worth your time.
And the girl
Okay, never mind.
voices Lisa Simpson or Bart Simpson was one of the heads. And so was Hank Azaria. Like a lot of the Simpsons cast was in that show. All right. So we're back to Dave. Dave, Boy Meets World versus Will and Grace.
Well, I'll go Will and Grace just because it's lasted longer.
Topanga loses. Mel, Boy Meets World or Will and Grace?
Yeah, Will and Grace.
Santori, would you argue with that decision? Would you defended Boy Meets World?
No, Will and Grace.
Will and Grace. All right. We're moving down. Mel, to me, this was a tough one. You've got news radio versus Friends.
Friends. Yeah, it has to be Friends.
There you go.
I like news radio.
Santori, what do you say? Which is a better show? Which one do you move on? News radio or Friends?
News radio. Sorry.
There you-
I don't know. Kevin, this was just funny. Much funnier to me.
It was a good show.
So that's it, Dave. Is it the best? Here you go. You have the behemoth sitcom of the 1990s, Friends, versus the underdog news radio. Who do you move on?
I'm going to go Friends. I got to go Friends.
Oh. Dave, I thought you would have moved news radio on. That surprises me personally.
I think Friends has way more of a cultural impact and that's really all I'm basing it on. I watched Friends a little bit. I didn't watch a whole lot of news radio, but it was funny, the ones that I did watch. But I think just based on pure pop culture representation, it's Friends.
There you go. Not an unfair argument, and you can make your choice on for whatever reason you want to. Santori, you got Just Shoot Me versus Saved by the Bell, the college years.
I would go Saved by the Bell, the college years.
I watched it when it came out. I watched it premiere. It wasn't horrible. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. I support you in your weird decision, Dave.
Thanks.
That was Leah Remini, right? With his girlfriend, Zach's girlfriend at the.
No, that was when Leah Remini was when they were working over the summer at the
like the beach or something like that.
Yeah, no, this is actually
they were Cabana Boys.
Yeah. This is actually them going to college. It was Screech, Slater, and Zach, and then they got all new girls for the first half of the season until they realized that nobody wanted to watch the show without Jesse and Kelly and Lisa there. So,
Lisa.
Yeah. So Dave, I'm taking. Which one are you going to go with? You going to go with Just Shoot Me or Saved by the Bell?
I'll go with Just Shoot Me because you had to explain to me
that's kind of what I figured. Mel, I didn't actually expect this one to be a Broika part one. Which one are you going to go with? Saved by the Bell?
Yeah, no, I'm going to go with Just Shoot Me. That's the one with David Spade, right?
That's
I don't
the
even
one with
like
David
him
Spade.
usually. I've only liked him in like Tommy Boy. But like for some reason, Tommy Boy, whatever. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Just Shoot Me.
Right. Just Tommy Boy is a great movie. Just Shoot Me is a really funny David Spade vehicle. I mean, it's one of the best things.
It's probably his best representation of his comedy to me.
Right.
I beg to differ. That has to be Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, you're right. No,
Yeah.
I thank you for correcting me. I constantly say Disney needs a roller coaster, like pull the lever ride. Like it's built into the story.
It truly is.
100%.
Dave, you have Step by Step going against Third Rock from the Sun.
Third Rock from the Sun.
There you go.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, Jason Gordon-Levitt, who I always call the Queer Eye guy. I always
Joseph
say
Gordon-Levitt, you mean?
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. I apparently I can't.
That mixed up with Jonathan Van Ness.
Because you call him JVN, so I call him JGL. You know, like an assassin. He's got three names. Mel, Step by Step or Third Rock?
Third Rock.
Oh, nobody has any kind of love. What about you, Santori? Step by Step or Third Rock?
I go Third Rock. Patrick Duffy drives.
Nobody has any love for
Yes,
Susan.
man.
How are you gonna not pick John Lithgow?
Patrick Duffy.
Drives me crazy.
Yeah.
No.
I actually picked I messed that up, guys. I actually had to write that in because I erased the one that I picked. You guys moved on Third Rock. I actually picked Step by Step to move on. So you guys are gonna be surprised. I actually think you guys are gonna be really surprised how different our 90s list is. It's going completely different than I expected it. All right, Mel. Wait a minute. You were the last one to answer.
Yeah, I just did one.
Okay, Santori, South Park versus Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
South Park.
Dave,
South Park.
Mel.
South Park.
Yeah. So unfair to Melissa Joan Hart. If it was Clarissa Explains It All, maybe she would have taken out South Park. I don't know.
No.
Let's see.
No.
This was a tough one for me. Coming up next, we've got Beavis and Butthead, Dave, versus Red Dwarf.
I'm a Beavis and Butthead guy.
You're
I still do Beavis and Butthead impersonations to this day. I will never do a Red Dwarf impersonation.
That's a hard one to do. It's a niche thing. I didn't know how far. I didn't think Red Dwarf would make it far. Mel, Beavis and Butthead, Red Dwarf.
Neither, because, well, I don't mind Beavis and Butthead. I watched it before. I don't know that I'd rewatch it now, but I've never heard of Red Dwarf.
There you go. Well, okay. So, Santori, would you have said anything?
Yeah. I'll defer to Dave.
What about you, Santori? Beavis and Butthead or Red Dwarf?
Beavis and Butthead. Beavis and Butthead.
Easy run through. Mel, you get Spin City versus the King of Queens.
No, Spin City.
Good show. Santori?
Spin City.
There you go. Dave, you don't even get a vote, but
No, I'd go Spin City anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin James is funny, just not compared to Spin City is an underrated show. Another one that people should pick up. And that puts us on, now I've lost place. Who did I add? Oh, yeah, it puts us on Santori. Santori, Mad About You or Kids in the Hall?
Kids in the Hall.
There you go. Dave?
I'll go Kids in the Hall.
Okay. Kids in the Hall, funny show. Mel, would you have argued with that?
Squishing your head.
I'm squishing your head. Kids in the Hall.
Kids in the Hall makes it through for everybody.
The chicken lady. Oh, yes. Please move on. Sorry.
Okay. Dave, Drew Carey versus Home Improvement.
Home Improvement.
Mel?
Oh, Drew Carey.
Ooh, Santori, you're going to make the break. Is it Tim Allen or is it Drew Carey? Who goes on?
It's Tool Time.
Tool
Tool
time
Time.
with Tim Allen.
So Zachary Taylor Thomas, I think it was, he went to that school that DW used to work at. Friend of the show, DW, Zachary Taylor Thomas used to go to that school.
Yeah, Iowa Elementary. Yeah.
I think it's Jonathan Taylor Thomas, but yes.
No,
I only know that because
the one who's not Jonathan Taylor Thomas, the older brother.
Oh. Well, my apologies.
Who the fuck knows? None of them are doing anything anyway. They're not watching that show. They don't.
I wasn't that into that show anyway, so.
It was pretty fun.
Mel, The Nanny versus Dharma and Greg.
Oh, The Nanny.
There you go. Santori.
Dharma and Greg.
Dharma and Greg it's an underestimated show. It was pretty funny. I don't know if it beats The Nanny, but Dave gets to decide. The Nanny or Dharma and Greg?
Dharma and Greg, because I cannot stand Fran Drescher.
Thank
I
you.
just can't.
That's
It's a
the
funnier
point.
show, but Fran Drescher is so annoying. Oh my god!
Annoying.
But that's the point.
No, unfortunately, that's
I'm
not
not
how
gonna
the-
sit through 24 minutes of shrill, nasally laughter.
Can't do it.
That's
Can't
crazy.
do it.
Hey, I get
Can't
it.
do it.
It's not everybody's cup
Can't
of
do
tea.
Fran Drescher
Okay.
gets knocked out in the first round. I didn't see that one coming. Santori, are we on Santori? Yeah. Santori, you get to finish this one up. We got Everybody Loves Raymond versus The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
I gotta go with Everybody Loves Raymond.
Ooh, okay. Dave,
Hello.
are you gonna make it are you
Hello.
going with Raymond or is it The Fresh Prince?
I'm gonna go Fresh Prince.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Fresh Prince, man. It launched a career. It was funny. It was ahead of its time. I mean, talk about police brutality in early '90s. I think Fresh Prince.
Mel, you're the tiebreaker. Is it Fresh Prince or Everybody Loves Raymond?
It's Fresh Prince. It did other things. It didn't just have the typical family tropes. Yeah.
All right. So we've got our 90s knocked out. That one was a good time. And then we're on a smaller list so we can move a little further. But let's see how different you guys were from me. I also had The Fresh Prince. But in my list, The Nanny beat out Dharma and Greg. Kids in the Hall and Home Improvement, I was with you guys 100%. Beavis and Butthead and Spin City. I, on the other hand, had South Park versus Step by Step, not Third Rock from the Sun. Third Rock did not make it on for me. I really loved Step by Step. Just Shoot Me went through. I put News Radio through, so I didn't expect Friends to go. I thought with the audience I had that Friends wouldn't make it. I did have Boy Meets World instead of Will and Grace. The 70s Show, I agreed with you guys on. Frasier, I moved on. Wings, I moved on over Ellen. And King of the Hill, and I did put King of the Hill on there, but I'm not racist, so I also put Sister Sister on there. So you guys made it block.
The King of the Hill, just for the record. Like, I really like that show too.
You made it weird. So, all right, guys, we're moving to the next round of the 80s. These are going to be a little bit more challenging. Since I forgot where I ended off, I'm just going to start back over with Dave again because I smoked and I forgot where we lived. Last left off. So the first question, it's a Saved by the Bell question again, Dave. You get to do Saved by the Bell versus The Cosby Show.
Yeah, Cosby Show. Come on. Let's be real here.
Mel, are you gonna say the Saved by the Bell is better than The Cosby Show?
No.
No. Santori, do you want to make an argument for Saved by the Bell being better than The Cosby Show?
No.
No.
Cosby Show.
Some of them, some shows are just kings. But it's this one. Mel, you got to decide between Family Ties and Taxi.
Ooh.
Taxi.
All right. Santori?
Taxi.
Dave, is it going to be a wipe? Or is it going to be?
No, man, I was going to go Family Ties. I'd go Family Ties.
Nope. Well, you were wrong. Taxi moved on because they voted it in.
So who cares what the fuck?
So who cares? I thought it would be a cohesive story if you ended it with agreeing. Santori, you got the Wonder Years versus Mama's Family.
Wonder Years.
Wonder Years. The move on of Winnie Cooper. Dave?
Yeah, Wonder Years.
Wonder Years. Mel, what would you have said?
I would have picked Mama's Family, but it's okay.
There you go. Wonder Years has moved on. People are getting disappointed here. You know, some people wanted their show and it's not happening. We are at Dave. Dave, you have Married with Children versus Cheers.
Cheers, of course.
Mel?
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers. Santori, would you have argued Ed O'Neill over Ted Danson?
Nope. Cheers.
Cheers.
Ted Danson is such a brilliant actor.
He is.
Everything I fucking
really
see him
is.
in, he is so brilliant.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's definitely underrated as far as the kind of actor he was. Even in movies he was great. You know, he never really made it to movie star, but he made a lot of movies for a while.
Big show.
Let's see.
Was he was in the Three Men and a Little Lady, right? Three Men and a Baby.
Yeah, it was Steve Gutenberg and the guy that nobody remembers.
Ted
Paul
Danson.
Reiser?
Tom Selleck.
Was it Paul Reiser?
It was Steve
Tom Selleck.
Gutenberg. I think the other guy had a beard.
Sure.
Tom Selleck.
Tom
It was
Selleck.
Tom Selleck.
It was Tom.
Oh yeah, a mustache. How did I forget that?
Magnum. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a funny movie.
It is.
It was a great movie, yeah.
They're rebooting it for Disney Plus.
Because there's no original ideas. God damn it.
No, they don't
Hey,
exist.
there's no news stories because nobody's going outside.
Right. Melody, you get to decide between Benson and its predecessor, Soap.
Oh, well, so
Yeah.
just out of respect, yeah.
Santori?
So
Yeah. Dave?
Soap.
Easy to move on. This one will not be as easy to move on for those of you who have deep affection. You have to take a MASH, the 4077, against four nice old ladies from Miami. MASH versus the Golden Girls, and that is on you, Santori.
MASH.
MASH. Dave, MASH versus the Golden Girls.
MASH.
Ooh, Mel, what would you have done?
Well, of course the Golden Girls, but I thought it was 80s versus 90s, and those are both 80s shows.
No, we had to make it down the rest of the list to the top of you. So
No, Golden Girls, and they're still in there somehow.
they're out. They've been voted out. The tribe has spoken.
It was like the one show I was rooting for. Go ahead.
Long, Sophia. She's moved out. So we are at Dave. You had Three's Company again versus The Simpsons.
Yeah. Simpsons, for sure.
Anybody want to defend Three's Company over The Simpsons? No.
I will.
Oh, okay. Mel, go for it.
It was, yeah, there was comedy there. It was earlier than The Simpsons, right? So you have to give it given the time that it was in, I think it was clever. I think The Simpsons at a certain point just became relevant to pop culture, and it wasn't necessarily, you can recycle jokes over new topics almost in some ways. So, I mean, I could see an argument for Three's Company. I'm not necessarily saying I would have voted that way, but I'm playing devil's advocate since I'm already outnumbered.
There you go. Well, but you got to make the big decision here. Night Court versus Family Matters.
Family Matters.
Centauri.
Night Court.
Dave.
I want to go Night Court. No. I'm going Family Matters.
Oh, he's
Urkel.
switching.
The only reason is Urkel. How many times a week do you go, did I do that?
Right?
Yeah, no, definitely a more quotable show than Night Court. No, there's no argument in that. So here we are, the comparison of our top 8. You guys had Family Matters. I had Night Court in my top 8. The Simpsons made my top 8. MASH and Soap both made my top 8. Married with Children beat Cheers for me, but you guys took Cheers on, so that was an interesting one for me. The Wonder Years was in my top 8 as well. Taxi and The Cosby Show. So for the most part, we agreed. Outside of I gave much more props to Married with Children than clearly you guys do. We are in the 1990s then, and this goes to Mel. Would I ask you first last time?
I no longer care because Golden
Okay.
Girls is out.
All right.
No, I'm kidding.
Santori, you got King of the Hill versus Blossom.
King of the Hill.
All right, Dave.
I'll go King of the Hills, man. Greg Daniels. Start of a great career for him.
Mike Judge.
Oh, yeah.
Mel, would you have argued with that?
Bobby.
No, I agree totally.
Okay.
Damn, Bobby.
This one might be an easy one for you, Dave. You got Frasier versus Ellen.
Frasier. Absolutely.
Mel.
Yeah, Frasier.
Santori, would you have put Ellen in there or would you have put Frasier?
Frasier.
Yeah.
Oddly
Frasier.
enough, Kelsey Grammer and Ellen, both major assholes. Who would have thought it?
I already knew about one of them. I'm surprised to hear about the other one lately.
I know. I always
That's
thought
'cause
Kelsey
I
Grammer was
watched
nice too.
The Housewives of Beverly Hills, and his ex-wife was on there, and so I've known backstories on their divorce for a while that make him sound like a complete prick.
He seems like a complete prick. Ellen's a surprise.
She's just too
Yeah.
famous. That's Ellen's problem. She just got too famous. Who did I ask first last time? I'm getting too stoned over again. I'm starting back over with Dave. Dave, 70
Just
show,
keep coming to me. Just start with me every time.
70 show versus Will and Grace.
I'm gonna go 70 show, man. I think it's just a funnier show. It may not be, the high quality show that Will and Grace is, and I just think it's a funnier show, and it's super underrated.
Fair enough, Mel.
We're all right. Yeah, I love that 70s show. To this day, if I'm flipping through channels, which who does that anymore, if that's on, I'm watching it. And there's a network, I don't know which one it is, but it randomly plays it for 20 hours for some reason. I'll sit and listen to it while I fold clothes.
Yeah, man. The episode where they absolutely.
Yeah.
The episode where they have the weed brownies,
Oh, yeah, where you can literally stroll the vistas.
Yes.
Yeah. The
time when he comes home and his parents are yelling at him in that Fish Islands. Oh, yes. It's a great show. Dave froze for me. Dave freeze for everybody?
Dave froze for us too, which means he doesn't get a vote in the. Oh, he's back. Dave's back.
Ah,
Man,
he heard that threat.
Yeah.
No, man, no, dude, I'm freezing up again, so my bad. My internet connection is unstable this evening, kind of like how I normally am. What was the question?
No, we all voted 70 shows on.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, man.
70 shows.
So next we have Friends versus Just Shoot Me. And that goes to Melody. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Friends.
Santori.
Friends.
Dave, you don't even get a vote, so you can't say.
I'd vote Friends anyway.
All right.
Really care.
Santori, you got Third Rock from the Sun versus South Park.
South Park.
Dave?
South Park.
Mal, what would you have said?
South Park.
Oh, see, the animation levels are really kind of leading this pack. We got Simpsons and South Park that just seem to be able to beat anything it goes up against thus far.
Well, they've been on for like 30 years each.
Yeah, but it
I don't know.
revolutionized.
Simpsons is like South Park plus 20, so.
Well, now you got here. This one might throw it out a little bit. Dave, Beavis and Butthead or Spin City?
I know I'm going to be the only one that says this, but I'm going to go Beavis and Butthead. I just liked it better. No, is this Spin City? Okay, I'm going to go Spin City.
Yeah, with Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, like the more I think about it, the better it gets. It's aging. So I'll go Spin City.
All right, Mel.
That is the show where, like you said, it's Michael J. Fox, but he is it a mayor's office?
Yeah,
Or,
he's mayor of New York.
Okay, yes, Spin City.
All right. Santori, would you have given it to Beavis and Butthead, or does Michael J. Fox, later Charlie Sheen, deserve that?
Beavis and Butthead.
I think one of the things about Spin City that it still stayed pretty funny even when Michael J. Fox left.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do.
Yeah, it carried on well with Charlie Sheen, which was pretty impressive. Mel, you got to make this call: Kids in the Hall or Home Improvement?
Oh, Kids in the Hall.
Santori.
Kids in the Hall. Who?
Versus Home Improvement.
Oh, Kids in the Hall.
All right, and
Kids.
All right, the Kids in the Hall make it to another round, and
I have a question for you though.
yeah.
Besides don't worry, I'm only squishing your head. Tell me something else you remember about Kids in the Hall.
I remember their movie.
Belle Biv DeVoe. Belle Biv DeVoe. Belle Biv DeVoe. You remember that episode? No? All right.
No.
And then you got the chicken lady. And then, let's see what else do we have.
All right. You have proved me wrong, Santori.
Yeah, Santori knows his Kids in the Hall. I think directly to that movie where the dad was watching the gay porn upstairs, and then he took the pill, and he's like, "I'm gay. I'm gay. Did you hear the news? I'm gay." Yeah, I think of their movie more than their series, but I remember watching their series like you would Monty Python. And the thing is, I can name a couple Monty Python skits, but I can't name them all. And I can quote Holy Grail way more than I can Flying Circus.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Dave distracted me, so I wouldn't know who to choose. So I'm just going back to Dave again. Dave, you get Dharma and Greg versus the Fresh Prince.
I'm going to go Fresh Prince.
Probably a fair choice. Mel?
Yeah, Fresh Prince.
Santori, would you have argued Dharma and Greg over the Fresh Prince?
No.
Fresh Prince. So, you guys, here we are on our final 8 on the 90s as well. We have the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which I had as well. I also moved Kids in the Hall on. I moved Beavis and Butthead over to Spin City, which now I'm disappointed. I think you guys made the right call. We have South Park, was something that we both agreed with. You guys moved Friends on. News Radio was still in it in my book. We got the 70s show. We both agreed on that. And then Frasier and King of the Hill actually made it through on mine as well. So we got our top 8s. That means we got to go back to the 80s. We're going to start with Mel. These are getting harder as they go along. All right? After this, you'll get our top 4. Mel,
Yes.
Cosby Show versus Taxi.
Taxi. Because it's older. I would rather watch it over Cosby right now because of Cosby's history. Like, so it's just easier.
There you go. Yeah. Santori, Taxi or Cosby Show?
Andy Kaufman.
Santori votes for Taxi. That's a fair argument. Dave?
It's so hard to separate Bill Cosby from Cosby Show because the Cosby Show was so funny and so groundbreaking. Yeah. But so hard to remove Bill Cosby. I'm gonna go Cosby Show because I'm gonna live in ignorance for a moment.
It's a tough
Understandable.
Call. When I said I did this list myself, I had that same challenge. Now I ended up also putting Taxi through, but almost any other show on this list outside of Taxi probably would have lost the Cosby Show to me. The Cosby Show is a great show. It should not be underestimated by any means. Santori.
You can't punish every other cast member and every other production crew member over that.
Right. Lisa Bonet deserves better than that. Santori, The Wonder Years versus Cheers. Cheers? Okay. Santori goes with Cheers. What about you, Dave? What are you going to do? Wonder Years versus Cheers?
Cheers. Because they were just consistently funny for a long span of time.
Yeah. Mel, would you say?
I would have. Yeah, it would have been tough, but yeah.
See, and this is another thing that I find interesting because like I said, I'm not letting you guys influence my thing. I did this way before after I randomized it. I put Wonder Years through. I think, once again, it's about a personal thing, and it kind of defines like my childhood more than Cheers does. So that's why I put Wonder Years through. But Dave, here's the tough one.
What was that about?
All right. Dave, you got to go Soap versus MASH.
I'm going to go Soap because I like the show more. I watched more Soap than I did MASH, and that's literally the only reason. They're both like equal quality. I'm just going to go Soap. Just personal connection.
Mel?
I agree, 100%.
Santori, would you challenge that at all?
No. Soap all day.
And you know what? We all agree because the 4077 MASH is a great show. It's another one. Everyone that gets kicked off this list deserves to be near the end. But I also put Soap up against it. This one will probably be an easy vote. Mel, you got Simpsons versus Family Matters.
Not that easy, but it is Simpsons.
There you go. Santori, you agree?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Simpsons.
Dave, is Urkel that good for you or no?
No.
Okay.
No. Doe is better than Did I Do That?
Doe is better than I Do That. That's absolutely.
And Doe is only the first of many to, top it off.
Santori, we're in the 90s now. We're going to get our top 4 of the 90s. We got King of the Hill versus Frasier.
Oh, wow. King of the Hill.
King of the Hill moves on. Dave.
I'm going to go Frasier. I just like the relationship between Kelsey Grammer and David Hyde Pierce. Thought they were great.
One of the best spinoffs probably ever made of a sitcom.
Oh, yeah.
Mel?
Yeah, King of the Hill.
King of the Hill moves on. Frasier, it may be the best sitcom, but it's not moving on in our list. It's not the best spinoff. Dave, you get to make another call. You got 70s Show versus Friends.
I have not ever laughed watching a show as hard as I did when I was watching the Eric Foreman's parents eat those weed brownies and have their weed cereal. I was in tears, and I do not have that connection to any Friends episode, so I'm going to go 70 Show just for that one specific reason.
Mel?
I mean, it wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't prefer the humor of that 70s show to the other one. So, yeah.
So Mel moves on with the 70s show too. Santori, would you have argued with that?
No,
No.
70s. All day.
70s all day long. The 70s show moves on.
We
All
are
right.
probably the 4 people in America that would vote this 70s show above Friends.
I also put 70s show above. Yeah. So on my list as well. That's hilarious. Mel, you got to choose between South Park and Spin City.
Oh, South Park.
Santori,
South Park.
Dave,
Yeah.
would you have agree with that?
South Park, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I've never owned a pair of Spin City pajamas, you know.
But would you if they had them?
No, I would not.
All right.
And
that
I want a
works.
shirt that says on Wednesdays we wear pink, so I'm not opposed to television quotes or anything. But
Santori, you got Kids in the Hall versus the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Kids in the Hall.
Dave?
Yeah, Kids and all.
Kids in the Hall moves through without Mel's vote, but Mel, where would you have gone with that?
I probably would have landed on Kids in the Hall, but I was torn.
Yeah,
So it doesn't
that's
matter.
a tough one. That's a tough
Yeah.
one.
So we have our top 4 in our 80s and our 90s. The top 4 shows that made it through, we have got, for the 80s, we've got Taxi. We've got, I got to go down on here. I should have brought everything up. Cheers, Soap, and The Simpsons. For the 90s, we have Kids in the Hall, South Park, 70s Show, and King of the Hill. And we're going to go back with Dave to get our final 2 of the 80s. You got to start it off. Dave, your Taxi versus Cheers.
I'm gonna go Cheers, man. I remember sitting on my couch next to my mom Thursday night, 8:00, watching Cheers, and that my personal connection is to Cheers, and I think it's a funnier show. Ted Danson is amazing.
So Dave's going with Cheers. Mel, what goes through Taxi or Cheers?
I liked. I don't know.
It's a hard one. Hard.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Taxi to let Santori break the tie.
There, she didn't know where to go, so she put it all on you, Santori. Which one of these moves on to the final 2?
It deserves a fighting chance.
It's so tough. It's really, really tough. But I can relate to Dave because I would do the same thing with my father. So I would go with Cheers.
So that's it. Cheers knocks out Taxi. Taxi, I really thought was going to be a strong contender
Yeah.
on
They're
that.
so good. There's
I
but
mean, that
there's
was hard, but
Yeah,
personal connection there. I get it.
yeah, that's how good those shows are. It comes down to literally a personal connection. Of
Right.
what-
Nobody has a connection to Dear John, the phenomenal spin-off of that Taxi created.
No, I know, right? Damn. What were you thinking? I know.
All good. I get it. It was a tough one.
All right. So Mel, who's going to sit next to Cheers running for the final 2? We've got Soap versus The Simpsons.
This is another tough one. I'm going to honestly go with Simpsons. I like animated comedies more. I know other people may have different opinions.
Okay. Santori, Soap versus The Simpsons.
Simpsons.
Dave, would you have argued different than that?
No, I agree with him.
All right. Well, The Simpsons stay, and so long. That is the last story of those sisters. They are out of this competition.
But we gave Soap so much love tonight. I don't think they've
I know.
had so many people talk about Soap for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
Right?
No, and you guys did the same thing I did. I hated knocking Soap out. I couldn't. It didn't work not knocking Soap out. I mean, The Simpsons, Soap was great, but The Simpsons were iconic. Santori, you got to start knocking out the 90s. So we got King of the Hill taking on that 70s show.
In the Hill.
King of the Hill gets the first vote in this final 4 round. Dave, is he right? Is King of the Hill moving on, or do you want to see the 70s show in the final 2?
I have watched more that 70s show than I have King of the Hill, but the King of the Hill episodes I've watched are funnier. Greg Daniels is just a better showrunner, so I'm going King of the Hill.
Oh, there you go. Mel, would you have agreed with that?
Yeah.
And Dave, we start back on you on the last of the top 8 or 4 bracket. You got South Park versus Kids in the Hall.
South Park.
Okay, Mel.
Kids.
Ooh, it's back to Santori making the call. South Park versus Kids in the Hall, Santori.
South Park.
South Park wins it. All right, we have our
Don't forget to bring your towel.
we have our top 2 80s and the top 2 90s show. We're going to stay in the same order that we were in. So, Mel, you get to answer the next question. 80s, you have The Simpsons versus Cheers.
I mean, Simpsons. Yes, Simpsons.
All right. Santori?
Simpsons.
Dave doesn't even get to vote. Would you have put Cheers in, Dave?
Yes, I would have, actually. I would
Oh,
have definitely put Cheers in. I think it's a funnier show.
there you go. Well, it doesn't matter because the number 1 show, according to us, of the 1980s, the number 1 sitcom, goes to The Simpsons. But who will The Simpsons be competing against for the number 1 of the 80s and 90s? And Mike gets to make the first vote on that. Mike, you got King of the Hill versus South Park.
I like the fact that all these like last 3 are cartoons.
They're all in. Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go South Park.
South Park gets an easy vote from Mike. What about you, Dave? King of the Hill
South Park.
versus South Park. South Park is easy vote for Dave. Would you have agreed with that, Mel?
Yeah. Definitely.
There you go. So the top sitcom of the 1990s, South Park. Top
No
sitcom of
cartoon.
the 1980s, The Simpsons. Now, it's back to Dave again. The decision needs to be made. Dave, which is the better sitcom? We have South Park versus The Simpsons.
You have no South Park without The Simpsons.
There you go. Dave gets the first vote for The Simpsons. Mel, where are you going to go? South Park, Colorado, or Springfield, unknown state?
First of all, it is Springfield, Illinois. I have my theories. But secondly, Simpsons.
Simpsons. Santori, is it going to be unanimous for you 3? Does Simpsons win this?
I'm gonna have to be different. South Park.
Santori gives it to South Park.
Be
Why?
different.
Why? What? Tell us. You get to answer that. Tell us why. Why are we going to go?
Trey Parker, man. I think he gets even more clever than these. I mean, Simpsons are clever and witty, and of course they're the godfathers of all this. But Trey, the way he keeps up with the times, and he adds his little like twist to it. He's genius. I don't know.
They're definitely efficient.
Brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no, here's the thing. We've pretty much followed each other, but you guys want to know who my final 2 is? Did anybody have a guess who my final 2 would be?
No,
No.
we don't really care.
It was the 70s show versus The Simpsons. I brought the 70s show all the way up. I ranked it as the top show of the 90s. It's a brilliant show.
It is, really.
And did it beat The Simpsons?
No, nothing beats
Oh,
The
okay.
Simpsons. The Simpsons, people can say it's lost any kind of speed. It doesn't matter. The Simpsons is a great show. It will always be a great show. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. Dave, I didn't let you promote anything at the beginning of the show. These 2 have already promoted. Promote something here at the end of our show.
Yeah, so my book, Race to Space Event Horizon 2, is coming out in paperback this week, so I'll be posting links in our Facebook page. Also, my kid and I are doing a review show. We're bringing back the Mile High Podcast review show, and we're going to do it where I'm having them watch a bunch of 80s movies, and then
Nice.
we're going to talk about it. Yeah.
Very cool. So look out, be on the lookout for Race to Space 2. It's going to come out. We'll advertise it on all of our sites. We'll advertise it on our website. Our website is www.truckiepacific.com. Go there to find anything else you need. It was a long game. It was the first game. Thank you for staying with us. If you're interested in playing a James's game, leave us a message on the Facebook page. And other than that, I have got to go because I got pizza on the way, and I have to face the music tonight because, Bill and Ted's Face the Music. That was a promotion for a Bill and Ted's movie. So,
All right. That was fun, guys.
yeah, that was great.
Thank you.
Yay!
Have a good day.
Thanks for coming to James's game, guys. We'll see you later.
All right, bye.
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 This has been a Truckee Pacific production. For sponsorship inquiries and comments, go to themilehighpodcast@gmail.com.